Well, so the Supreme Court, by a decision of 3-2, has decided that elections ought to be held within 90 days, and a date in that respect ought to be given for the province of Punjab by the president after consultation by the ECP. And ECP has been directed to employ their best efforts to make sure that this consultation is held ASAP. And after such consultation, the president will give a date for the Punjab elections, which will be a date for within 90 days, and that so that the elections can be held within 90 days. It has further been held that the president giving a date for KPK was in fact illegal, although his giving for a date for Punjab elections wasn't illegal, but because of efflux of time and because ECP wasn't consulted, that exercise will take place again. But for KPK, it won't be the president, but in fact it will be the governor that will give a date. And when he did not give a date upon dissolution, he violated the constitution. There has been significant dissent, and two judges of the Supreme Court have held that these suo motu petitions ought to be dismissed because they're not maintainable, given that these very constitutional issues are pending before high courts. And the high courts obviously have, according to these two judges, have not delayed the matter inordinately. There's not been an inordinate delay to warrant for interference by the Honorable Supreme Court in suo motu proceedings, so they've dismissed the petitions. But by an order of 3-2, the elections have been called. Certain leeway has been given to the ECP that whilst they need to come up with a date within 90 days, but if they feel like another date beyond 90 days ought to be given, and if there are cogent reasons for it, then they can recommend and suggest that date to the president as well. Well, it would appear that the PDM is not interested in elections, and so the direction that elections ought to be held within 90 days would be useful for the PTI. And the leeway that the ECP can have if they so chose to exercise it to delay elections is also minimal, given that they have to exercise their best efforts to consult with the president as soon as possible. And even if a date that is suggested beyond 90 days is given, it ought to be given with cogent reasons. And eventually, the president, in consultation with ECP, will announce the date for the Punjab elections. So, yes, it has a great impact on the politics of Punjab and the country in general, because at this point, it would appear that the PTI is keen on elections and is confident about its popularity, and the same cannot be said about the PDM. So one can expect, delaying tactics from the PDM, and any kind of leeway that can be utilized here will likely be utilized. I think that this was an important case. There has been a certain settling of the law in respect of who is to give a date for elections when, in the case of KPK, the governor dissolves the assembly after binding advice of the chief minister, in which case it is the governor that will give the date. And if the governor does not give a date, as was the case in the Punjab dissolution, upon binding advice of the chief minister, and 48 hours pass and the assembly is dissolved, in that case, that date is then given by the president in consultation with the ECP. So that law has been now interpreted, that those articles of the Constitution have been interpreted. So this table tennis ought to end and not be repeated next time.